Bill Maher interview where we were discussing, or I should say debating Israel, the topic of the Greater Israel Project came up. And Bill Maher's thoughts on that were fascinating. I don't want to give too much away. Let's take a quick look.
Israel is fighting to survive, and also, they are the front line in the Western world.
I totally disagree with you on this entirely.
Well,
I think much of the problems we have in the Middle East is due to the enabling of this look, it's an expansionist policy. If Israel wasn't trying to continue expanding in the Middle East, I don't think they would be dealing with the enmity, like the enemies that they're dealing with.
They've never been asked. They've never been trying to expand.
They're trying to annex the West Bank right now, and Lebanon, southern Lebanon, and Syria, which they've succeeded in.
These are all places that they were attacked from. When they became a country in 1947, they said, "Okay, we will accept half a loaf." They had as much right to that land as anybody. There was a continual presence there since 1000 BC when King David had a kingdom.
I don't care about that at all.
Okay, but it's relevant.
It's relevant to people. You can't wipe out innocent people because you used to live there like centuries ago.
You're calling them colonizers. They're not colonizers.
They're expanding and they're annexing land. That's what colonizers do.
He just believes that the Israelis are entitled to the land. So on one hand, he's denying the expansionist policy, which is obviously playing out clearly in front of all of us. And then he says, well, yeah, I mean, they're entitled to that land. So it was promised to them 3,000 years ago. Yeah. They used to live there. Anyway, go ahead.
And I thought Bill was an atheist. But all of a sudden, he's like, what do you mean? The Jews are owed that land. God promised to them. What? What happened, atheist? No, his atheism is all about crapping on Muslims. That's his cover story. I'm an atheist, so I can say vicious, terrible things about Muslims and occasionally Christians, but almost never about Judaism or his beloved Israel. And in his perverted, insane, deranged mind, he's like, yeah, well, in 1948, Jews owned 6% of the land there. They took 48%, and I guess they got it through rainbows and unicorns. The reality is they slaughtered the Palestinians and dragged them through town so they would know that all these, you're going to be next. That's why 750,000 Palestinians ran for their lives because of the terrorism of Israel. That's how they took the half a loaf. Then in 1967, Israel, attacked all of their neighbors and called it preemptive attack, self-defense. And look at that, they took the Golan Heights, Sinai Peninsula, Gaza, and West Bank. But he says, oh, that's just a coincidence that we happen to constantly attack, and take all that land. And October 7th, we were attacked. That's why we murdered 80,000 people and took half of Gaza. So Bill, are you gonna give half of Gaza back? No, Israel's never going to give half of Gaza back. They've kept the West Bank and Gaza for 58 years as occupied, basically I mean,
he knows. The point is, he knows and he doesn't care. He thinks they're entitled to it. I mean, he made that clear. Look, I think the biggest takeaway and part of the reason why I'm pretty devastated today is just the realization that everyone who argues in favor of Israel and tries to hide the ball and pretend like they don't know what Israel's doing. They do know. They actually fully know. They're fully aware. They know about the land theft. They know about the annexations. They know about the mass slaughter. They just don't care. They think it's justified. And that really I don't know, it just kills me inside to know that we have a sizable portion of this country that thinks that's totally okay, including power players in the media, the elite in pretty much every single one of our institutions. I just didn't think that this many people were capable of dehumanizing like literal children. Like Israel killed a 3-year-old over the weekend. They used a drone strike to kill a 3-year-old at a refugee camp in Gaza.
Yeah, they do it all the time. American diapers come back, sniper shots, head and chest. Israeli snipers are murdering children under the age of 5. Hind Rajab, the Israelis are told she has survived. It's a 6-year-old. We're sending an ambulance to get her. They go, oh yeah, go ahead. They murder everyone in the ambulance, and then they murder the 6-year-old. They have an 83% civilian kill ratio, the worst of any terrorist group. So IDF is a gigantic terrorist organization, and it's empirical, it's factual, and it's inarguable. But they say no, if you hated Muslims as much as we do, you would see that an 83% civilian kill ratio is totally fine. You would see that murdering 6-year-olds is totally fine, and the moral thing to do that a special ally would do in favor of Western civilization. This is all propaganda so that people like Bill Maher can get you to hate Muslims so that Israel can continue to attack them and take their land. So those things are now obvious to a lot of people, and that's why the Bill Mahers of the world and the Barry Weisses, etc., are in a rage. They're like, no, shut the stupid Muslims up, shut the stupid Americans up, and get them to bow their head to Israel again. Well, sorry, Bill, we're not going to. And by the way, I want to be super clear. I would never have a position as immoral as Bill Maher. Do I think the Palestinians should attack Israel? Absolutely not. Should they take any of Israel's land in Israel proper, pre-1967 borders? Absolutely not, okay? Even though the Palestinians have a right to self-defense after being occupied for 58 years, brutal occupation of the Israelis. They're ruthless Israelis, right? But even so, I would say, no, don't attack them, don't take their land, don't kill them, and don't harm their civilians. Whereas Bill Maher says, civilians, who cares? Murder as many people as you like, we'll call it a war. When you do it, we'll call it terrorism, even though you're actually defending yourself, okay? Oh, I know, Bill, it's Muslims, I know. Go ahead and lose your mind. And he'll just go spin into his rage, all Muslims are terrorists. But when Israel kills far more people, and far more civilians on purpose, Bill Maher goes, who cares? They're stupid Arabs and Muslims, and we want their land anyway. So, and Bill, can you admit that it's for the land? Are you pretending that they accidentally took all that land and never gave it back? Other than Sinai for a peace treaty? By the way, we have a peace treaty model. It's peace for land. And it's land that Israelis stole anyway, so it costs Israel nothing, but he doesn't want peace. The Israelis, under no circumstances do they want peace. They want more war that America pays for with good propaganda like from Bill Maher and others to brainwash the American people into supporting genocide after genocide so that we all serve their beloved Israel.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.